Welcome to the analysis of the Hindu newspaper dated 20th of July. So, as usual, we'll be doing the analysis of certain articles that are important from a competitive exams point of view. So, let's start. I welcome you all to this video. So, the first article that we are going to analyze is regarding Naga issue. So, before going into it, let's have some background information regarding the same. So, the issue is that there is a sense among a few sections of Naga people to form a separate country. That is, in their minds, this country is called Greater Nagaland, and it incorporates the entire Nagaland along with certain Naga inhabited areas of Manipur and Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, and peace talks with the most lethal insurgent group, that is National Socialist Council of Nagaland (IM). That is National Socialist Council of Nagaland (IM). This IM refers to Isaac Muvaya, who was their leader. And the peace talks with this particular group started in 1997 when the leaders agreed to a ceasefire. And as a culmination of over 80 rounds of negotiations over the years, a framework agreement was signed in 2015. So the agreement was signed by the center's interlocutor for Naga peaks, Mr. R.N. Ravi, and the leader of NSC and IM. So right now, this particular article says that certain details about this agreement has come to the public. That is, it has been disclosed. So this article says that the government has informed the parliamentary panel that it signed an agreement with the NSC and IM after it agreed on to a settlement with the Indian Federation with a special status. So R.N. Ravi, who was the interlocutor for the Naga talks, told the committee that it was a departure from their earlier position of with India, not within India, and that the government called it a framework agreement and signed it. And this is the first time that the details of a particular agreement that was signed at the residence of our Prime Minister have emerged. So Article 371 A of the Constitution makes it clear that there is a special status that has been accorded to this particular state, and a similar kind of status with some local variation and some change to the Nagas, according to their needs, can be explored. So the center's interpretation of this particular agreement is that they have agreed to they have departed from their stand, that is not having allegiance to the Indian constitution, and they have also given up their demand for Nagalim. And that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding NGT. And NGT, as you all know, it was created using a government gazette, using the powers of the section 3 of the NGT Act of 2010, and it was replaced the NGT replaced the National Environment Appellate Authority, and the objective of establishing an NGT was to provide an expeditious disposal of cases relating to environmental protection. And it has a chairperson who is appointed by the central government after consulting with the Chief Justice, and it has also at least 10 and a maximum of 20 judicial as well as expert members. So in this particular article says that the chairperson of the NGT has criticized the government of India for not taking prompt action to clean Ganga. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the state of Delhi and the Swachh Bharat mission. So the Swachh Bharat urban variant of Swachh Bharat mission, which was supposed to build more than 1.25 lakh new toilets in Delhi, so far has built only 458 individual household toilets under the scheme. So as an explanation for this, the Delhi state government says that it doesn't have any demand from the people for individual household toilets. There is simply no space to construct toilets in their households. Community toilets will be more useful in Delhi. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the Jewish adoption of Israel adopted a Jewish national law. So this is a deeply controversial issue, especially because there is an Arabic people are also settled there. So right now, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has called this particular adoption a historic moment. However, a deeply controversial clause that was conceived as a more specifically to legalize the establishment of Jewish-only communities was changed after it drew criticism from various quarters, including their president. Regarding this, the Arab Parliament members who called this legislation racist and ripped up the copies of the bill inside the chamber of the Israel Parliament. So, Arab citizens account for around 18% of Israel's more than 8 million population. They have long complained of this discrimination, and certain experts says that this particular legislation is much of symbolic in nature, but it would force the courts in the country to consider the Jewish nature and lead to a more narrow interpretation of the Arabic rights. So this is going to be a problem. Anyway, let's see how things are going to develop in Israel. Let's move on to the next article. It is titled Women Believe in Sabarimala DT. That is what CGI has noticed. So, yesterday we had some background information regarding this. So, anyway, this particular article only says that it is the women are demanding to, there is a particular section of women who demands to enter into Sabarimala just because they believe in Sabarimala, the deity in Sabarimala, that is Lord Ayappa. So, other than this, there is nothing much more important in this article. I think it is better to have a better to view yesterday's analysis of the Hindu newspaper if anyone likes to have more background information regarding this. The first article which we discussed yesterday was regarding Sabarimala. And now let's look at something regarding Arctic. So this article is titled India to expand the polar research in Arctic as well. So I think it is better to have some background information regarding Arctic Council, because anyway we are dealing with Arctic. So Arctic Council was established in 1956 as a high-level intergovernmental forum which addresses the issues faced by the Arctic governments and the people living in Arctic region. Currently, the Arctic as of 2018, Arctic Council has 8 members and 13 observer states, and one among them is India. So let's move on. Let's now analyze what this particular article has to say. Uh, you know, we'll be expanding our research into this area, and it is said that there are a lot of hydrocarbon reserves in this particular area, and we'll be renaming our the particular institution that is entitled to do research in Antarctica, so that they will be also mandated to do research in the Arctic portion as well. So it also involves certain talk with the countries like Canada and Russia and the key countries with presence in the Arctic Circle, so that we will be in a position to establish new observation systems. And India now only has one Arctic observation system, that is near Norway. So let's move on to the next article. It is titled Fugitive of Economic Offenders Bill has passed. So the thing to be noticed here is that this was intended to curb certain episodes of economic fugitives, uh, fleeing this country and not coming to face justice. So this particular legislation empowers special courts to direct the central government to confiscate all assets belonging to a fugitive economic offender, including those that are proceeds of the crime and do not belong to the offender. So anyway, this to exercise or to execute this particular bill, we will need more international cooperation, and I think that involves some kind of diplomacy, and we will also have to give back something. Then only we can operate our law in their jurisdiction. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is titled Digital Volunteers to Check Rumors. So this is a really positive development in Uttar Pradesh. So the UP police have decided to recruit digital volunteers at every police station in the state to curb the rumors and bust illegal activities. So the volunteers will be picked from a variety of backgrounds and professions and must be socially influential, active on the social media, and of a clean image. That's what the UP police has said. So now let's move on to the next article. It is regarding the BRICS news portal to be coming soon. So a decision to establish a BRICS Media Academy and a BRICS news portal were among those decisions that were taken at the 2018 BRICS Media Forum camp at Cape Town in South Africa on Thursday, and it pledged to strive to create a media landscape that upholds the integrity of the news that is created and shared through the BRICS nations. So that's all about this article. Uh, let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the US Russia relation. So since the last 2 days we have been witnessing some kind of positive development from the part of US in their decision to engage with Russia, despite deep suspicions within some experts in Washington. So in this article, uh, particular article says that Putin says some forces in the US are trying to derail the success of summit with Trump. So Putin says that we see that there are forces in the United States that are prepared to casually sacrifice the US Russia relation, to sacrifice them for their ambitions in the course of an internal political battle. So these forces are ready to sacrifice the US jobs and hurt the US economy while waging their political battle. And Russia also warned, that cautioned that, however, of the dangers of Moscow and Washington failing to continue and mend ties, saying that the new strategic arms reduction treaty that was signed in 2010, which is likely to expire in a few couple of months. So the Russia warned, or cautioned, the dangers of Moscow and Washington failing to continue or to mend ties, saying that the new strategic arms reduction treaty would expire in a year, and this is, if not, if a new treaty is not signed or the current treaty is not extended, there will be no limit for the nuclear dispositions or the nuclear deployments of the both these two states. So let's move on to the next article. It is regarding Brexit. So yesterday we dealt with the issue regarding the same. So right now, this is the former British Prime Minister Cameron, David Cameron, has said that there are 80% chances of Britain leaving the European Union group. So he was speaking at Kolkata at an event, and the Conservative Party leader said that under the Brexit negotiations, there is a fundamental choice whether the country stays close to the European market and keeps some of the rules of European market and reduce its sovereignty, or it stays entirely separate and make our own rules. And the economic impact of this particular Brexit on the British economy definitely depends on what type of Brexit, how the trade rules is going to be settled. So now let's move on to the next article. It is regarding India Sri Lanka joint venture, and there was a development in India Sri Lanka relation, especially India's decision to manage the Mithila Virajapaksha airport, that is, which is you know running in deep losses. So according to the proposed joint venture between the Airport Authority of India and the airport and aviation services in Sri Lanka, India will own a 70% stake and will pump around 225 million US dollars to revamp and run the airport, while the Sri Lankan side will invest the rest. So, as per the draft agreement, fine tuned over the three formal rounds of negotiations in Colombo, India will operate the airport on a 40-year lease. So now let's wait for how things are going to develop. Let's move on to the next article. It is titled India may lose the US trade spat in World Trade Organization over the export support. So the Commerce Secretary has made a statement that India is likely to lose the trade spat. Official says that while the direct subsidies to export cannot be given, that the government can legitimately support the regulatory compliances required in the countries, and India is responding strongly to various allegations that are raised against India at this particular council. And the US, in March this year, dragged India to the WTO's dispute settlement mechanism over export subsidies, saying that these incentives are really harming the American companies. So that's all about this article. Now let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the IBBI, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, that is which is a nodal body that implements the IBC, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board. So this particular article says that IBBI is working on cross-border insolvency norms. That's what the chairman of the IBBI, Mr. MS Sahu, says. So the government is keen to introduce a globally accepted and well-recognized cross-border insolvency framework, which would also make India an attractive investment destination for foreign creditors. So given the increased predictability and certainty of the insolvency process, this is such a piece of legislation is likely to increase India's business prospects. So that's all about this article. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding Canada. Canada's biggest public pension fund, CPPIB, to set up investment in India. So the Canada's Pension Plan Investment Board, which manages Canada's national pension fund, has increased has invested not increased has invested nearly 7 billion Canadian dollars in India ever since entering the market a decade ago, and it is looking for opportunities to invest in Indian infrastructure, power, real estate projects. And currently, CPPIB owns shares in some of the leading Indian fast moving consumer goods, that is FMCG companies like ITC, Hindustan Unilever, and Britannia Industries. So the fund also expects more deals with the logistic platform Indospace Core, which is a joint venture of Indian property developer Indospace. So that's all about this article. Anyway, this is a positive development in India-Canada relation. So let's move on to the next article. It is regarding TRAI. So TRAI revamps rules on pesky calls. That's what the article says. So as per the new regulation, the new rules that mandates subscribers consent for receiving telemarketing messages, and this will give a huge relief to the subscribers who feel targeted by unwanted communication. That's what the regulator sees. So that's all important about this article. Anyway, I will repeat the core matter once again. So the new rules mandate the subscribers consent necessary for receiving uh, telemarketing calls. That's what the article says. Let's move on to the next one. It is regarding the Brexit. Again, regarding Brexit. So the banks must brace for hard Brexit. That's what UK's FCA says. FCA stands for Financial Conduct Authority, and it is something similar to that of a RBI in India, but not really central bank. So according to FCA, together with the colleagues of Bank of England and the government, uh, we have been they have been working to develop a number of safeguard and contingencies in the event of a hard Brexit. So this hard Brexit actually refers to something that is really unfair in terms of trade and economic situation in Britain. So as I mentioned, just like in the previous article we mentioned, or we discussed how the former prime minister has mentioned how the Brexit issue. So he says that you know uh, it actually depends on how the deal between the Britain and the European Union ends up. So that's all about this article. So the FCS says that FCS actually says everyone to be prepared for a hard Brexit. That's all about this article. And let's move on to the last article today. That is fighting global warming, one cow belch at a time. So this belch actually refers to a reflex that expels gas noisily from the stomach through the mouth. And this particular article says that according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, the livestock are responsible for around 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So according to the 14.5% of global greenhouse gases emissions are from livestock. So the ruminants such as cattle, buffalo, sheep, and goats produce nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, and methane, which is the most emitted gas and is released through belching. So, low methane sheep are, as a result of decades of research, and they are linear and and gives more wool, and that's what experts who are conducting the research are saying. And also the important things to be noticed from Indian point of view is that uh, the you know the in India a national program to boost the milk production of cows and buffaloes by improving their diet is also helping the environment, according to the National Dairy Development Board. Though the NDDB uses a software to assess the ideal diet for animal uh, based on its physical profile and environment. So the changes actually usually include adjusting the feed quantity and adding locally available mineral supplements. So the tailored diet means that each animal produces 12 to 15% less methane according to NDDB. So that's all about this article. I think we have analyzed all certain articles that are important from a competitive exams point of view. So thank you very much, friends, for watching this video, and for different kinds of PDFs for various competitive examinations. You can visit our blog, that is www.knowledgehouse.co, and you can also follow us on Telegram. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. And if you feel that you must not miss any more updates from us, you can subscribe our channel. And I welcome you all to give a feedback on the comment box below. And thank you very much for watching this video once again. So have a nice day.